Well, emotional discipline is the center of the universe for negotiating because in every negotiating conversation, the human being in that conversation that exerts the greatest emotional control is going to have the highest probability of getting their desired outcomes. And that's just basic. And this is true whether you're negotiating as a buyer or negotiating as a seller. That emotional control for you as a seller really begins with managing the sales process. If you skipped all the steps in the sales process, you know you didn't earn it, right? If you skipped all the steps in the sales process, you know that your buyer's in a lot bigger power position. If you have an empty pipeline, you're selling from a place of desperation versus a place of abundance. So for you as a salesperson, you must never forget this. Relaxed, assertive confidence when you're closing, when you're negotiating is your most powerful emotional position or foundation. The easiest, fastest way to gain and grow this emotional discipline is through a full pipeline. I know this sounds weird. I know it sounds crazy, but the truth is that if you're prospecting every day, you're going to be a way better negotiator. If you're closing a lot of deals, if you've got, if you've covered your quota for the quarter or for the month, you're going to be a lot better negotiator because you don't have to negotiate. So you're going to show up in a better position. But it all begins with emotional discipline. And I think that if you choose to read Inked, and I'll hold it up for the people, I know that we got a camera in here, so we're taping some of this. But if you're in a position and if you want to learn how to manage your emotions, if you want to learn how to use some different frameworks for controlling the conversation, and even getting past some of the games that buyers play. And they're taught to play these games. And a lot of your buyers are professionals, and they know exactly how to poke you in a way that disrupts your emotional control. They want to get you up on your heels or back on your heels because they know that when you lose emotional control, they're in a much better position. And I'll leave you with one situation, and I'll explain how this works just through this example. So we had a company that we've been working on a deal with for a couple of months. And we knew when they needed the training to start for their organization. So they had told us we have to have these people in the field trained. We were dealing with learning and development. Learning and development in this situation just didn't have enough people to get it done, nor did they want to buy a license to do it on their own. And had we given them the curriculum and we had done train the trainer, we still wouldn't have met their deadlines that the executives were giving them. So from our standpoint, one of the things that we understood was that there was a timeline. And there were all along, we knew who our competitors were, and we had slowly but surely eliminated those competitors. So we were very, very careful to listen to the conversation. So we knew that by the time we were in the negotiation, that we were the vendor of choice. So this is called VOC. We talk about this a lot in the book. You need to win first. So we had won the deal, and then they came to us to negotiate. So that we switched from the learning and development group, the people that we were buying our service, to the purchasing group. And it was like this instant, you can't talk to us anymore. You can only talk to purchasing. It's a classic move, right? Remove the relationship with you have. So now we're dealing with people who we have no relationship with, who don't care, and their only job is to squeeze as much out of us as possible for their organization. Now, my salesperson is highly invested in this deal. She's been working on this for months. It's really, 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 really big. There is a massive commission check for her at the end of this, and she wants it. So she talks to the director of purchasing, and the director of purchasing says this to her. Classic move. She didn't recognize it because she's so emotional. She wants the deal. She wants it. And the director of purchasing knows that she wants it. Director of purchasing says, okay, so here's the deal. We want to do business with you, and we're going to get this contract signed. This is going to be a no-brainer. Everything's done. Everybody's ready to go. But the thing is that for contracts that are over $500,000, we have to issue an RFP. And if you guys could get this thing under $500,000, then we wouldn't have to do that, and we can just get this signed right then. So she calls me up and says, she goes, look, they want to get the deal done. And here's what she said to me. So why don't we just go ahead and get this thing in at like $499,000 and it'll be okay. Well, how much is the proposal? She said, well, 900. So we're going to take roughly 50% off of the top in order to get this deal signed. She goes, yeah, but we can get it signed. Classic example of a trained buyer using the salesperson's emotions against them. The salesperson is trying to sell me into taking basically half of the price out of the deal in order for her to close the deal. So I'm grinning, like I'm on the other side of I'm like, that was such a good move, like so good. And this is why sometimes it makes sense to have someone working with you, because sometimes you get so blinded, right, in those situations that you can't see. And I said, here's what I want you to do. You go back to the buyer and you tell the buyer that we are eager for the RFP, that we are so happy that they're going to put this out to RFP, because then we're going to have an opportunity to prove ourselves. And then I want you to tell her that we don't have enough resources to respond quickly. So let us know when it's going to come out, because it will probably take us 2 weeks to 3 weeks to get it ready to go. Knowing that would clearly put us past when they needed their deadline that they'd set. They said the deadline is this, we have to get it in. And then we went back to our buyer and said, listen, it turns out you guys are going to get an RFP, and we're going to probably not be able to get it in for 2 weeks. And our experience with this is usually when things go to RFP, it at least takes a couple of months to get them out of RFP. And we're thrilled. Thank you so much for choosing us to be in the RFP process. She goes, why would I do that? I just said, trust me, go do this. So we go through the process, tell them all these things, and 2 hours later, we have a deal signed. And what happened was we didn't allow our emotions to get in the way. We knew in that particular situation, we knew this, that they needed the deal done. They had a timeline. And when we called the bluff, hey, we're willing to fill out the RFP, we're willing to do all those things, that they went back and had an internal conversation and said, well, that didn't work. Okay, we'll sign the deal, because we had a fair deal on the table. And that's exactly what we did. And that worked for them. So I think what we have to recognize is that in that moment, the sales rep, emotions, on fire, like she lost it. If when we calmed down and thought about it, we were in a lot better position than we thought we were in terms of being able to negotiate the deal. And that's what everybody who's in sales has to get. Manage your emotions first. And if you do that, then it's a lot easier for you to manage the outcome.